So I've been getting into astral projection lately, and I realize that some of the memories that I have as a kid were probably me astral projecting. The first one that I ever remember experiencing was waking up and I couldn't move my body and I couldn't speak, and I was just trying to yell out for my mom, but no sound came out. And all these years I thought it was just a dream. But in this event, I look over to my side and there's like, you know how in the movie Predator, Predator could camouflage itself and it was like kind of pixelated but like see-through? It was like that, but not pixelated. I knew something was there and I could see it because it sort of like bent the light, but I didn't know what it was. And in the dream, my cat attacked it and like was jumping on it and clawing it and climbing it, and eventually it went away. Now I realize if I was accidentally going out of my body as a kid, that was probably the guardian of the threshold, that was just fear testing me to see if I was ready. And of course I wasn't, because I was just a little boy. I have memories of, I used to tell my mom that I would fall asleep with my eyes open. And I realize now what that was like I would, just as a game for fun, I would lay there with my eyes open for as long as I could keep them open and then eventually shut them. And at some point, I always thought that my eyes were opening again, but I realize now that it may have been opening my astral eyes, according to theory with astral projection. Again, I have no proof of this. I'm just kind of putting it out there, but I'm making this video to kind of document for myself, and all the books that I've read about AP and lucid dreaming, the more that you document it and talk about it, the more that it's kind of on your mind. So I've been doing the reality check method to increase lucidity during dreams, and after just 2 days, it worked. And my technique is to stop and ask myself if I'm dreaming, and then to immediately look at one of my hands and see if everything looks normal, and then tell myself if I am or am not dreaming. So there I am asleep, and I'm dreaming, obviously, but I wasn't aware of it. And then all of a sudden, I look down at my hand, and I realize my ring is gone, and I have 6 fingers instead of 5. And I said, I'm dreaming. Instantly. At that time, I thought that I was astral projecting, right? Because I've been trying to do that lately. But I was just dreaming. So the first thing I did, I ran over to a window, and I was like, I'm going to put my whole body through the window. So I did, and I look outside, and then I pull my whole body back through the window, and the glass didn't shatter or break. The first clue that it was a dream should have been that I couldn't feel anything. Nothing was tactile. It was all mental. But it was this huge wood-paneled room. It was like old, very old school. It was like my subconscious made this like kind of Sherlock Holmes era, like grand ballroom. And it was grand in its simplicity and craftsmanship. Like everything was wood and very ornate and detailed. So the moment I realized I was dreaming, I just started flying. I just took off like a rocket. And the cool thing about this room was that I flew through a doorway, and I was just enjoying the feeling of flying. And I was just flying through this like mansion, and as I flew, new rooms would just zing past me, and then I'd fly down another hallway, zing past me, another hallway. I was just having such a great time. And finally I realized, oh yeah, the whole point of AP for me, the very first thing that I ever want to do is to meet my higher self, because I have some questions. And so I stopped, which is hard to do because flying felt great. So I stopped and I said, take me to my higher self now. Nothing happened. I was like, that's weird. So like thinking to myself, what do other people do? And I remembered, oh, I can manifest a portal. So I manifested this beautiful ornate door. It was gorgeous. Again, I loved the craftsmanship of it. And I said, beyond this door is my higher self. And I reach for the doorknob and I pull it open and I step through it, and my higher self is not there. But what was there was just empty vastness. And I realized I could probably create whatever I wanted in this space. I didn't know why I couldn't go to my higher self, but I just couldn't. So at this point, I was starting to kind of fade out. And I know that because I looked at what I thought were my astral hands, my dream hands, and they were kind of fading. So I remembered a technique that I read in a book years ago. I started clapping my hands as hard as I could. And again, clue number 2, there was no sound. So I'm clapping my hands, and that's waking me up a little bit. And I said, "Clarity now, clarity now, clarity now." And the light in the room got brighter, and the detail of things got crisper, and my dream body was back. I could see my hand fully, and from there, I manifested like a strip mall with a candy store, and because I had been listening to Preston Dennett on his YouTube channel talking about we have a desire body, and oftentimes, Robert Monroe also experienced this. He'd be APing and he would go do all the things that his body wanted to do. So what did I do? I manifested a candy store, and in the candy store there was an endless trough of blue raspberry jelly beans that I was just handfulling into my mouth and just chomping down. Clue number 3, there was no taste. There was no sour. There was nothing. And another bucket was full of Werther's Originals, and I was just, gobbing those down. But I couldn't taste them. And then I realized in the midst of that, I'm fading again. I'm losing my consciousness. So I clap my hands again, as hard as I can, but this time it's harder to do. I'm really kind of struggling to stay focused and aware. And so at that point, I called on myself to bring me more clarity. And this guy came out of stage right, and he brought someone to me, and he's like, "Here, talk to this person." And so I'm just talking about anything, and the more I'm talking, the more I'm engaged, and the more I'm feeling lucid again. And so finally, the store disappears, and I have my lucidity, and I'm like, "Oh wait, I gotta go visit my wife and see what she's up to." So I'm instantly transported to her just by thinking it, and she's standing there, and I say, "Hey, tell me something that only you would know about, your family history or a friend that you had in the past that you've never shared with me. Tell me that so I can bring it back to you once I'm back in, normal reality as evidence," because I was like, there's no way she's going to believe me, right? And she says, "Okay, I'm thinking." And the craziest thing happened. While she was thinking, the sky literally went from day all the way to night, the whole 12-hour or whatever cycle, 18 hours, whatever it is. And I literally went from it being a sunny day in this landscape to the most beautiful blue and then purple and lavender colors of the sky. And I was like, she was still thinking, but I was just transfixed on the beauty of the sky and the stars. It's all I could, oh my God, I can't even describe the beauty of it. Yummy. Anyway, she couldn't remember. And at that point, I started to fade. And I don't know if I let myself or if there was nothing I could have done anyway, because I was just so kind of tired at that point. It's weird. Anyway, this video is kind of more for myself because I'm very much on the astral projection journey, and I think the next steps are going to be meditating more often and meeting the guardian of the threshold and kicking its fucking ass, and facing my fears and doing all the shadow work that's involved. I'm excited. I don't know why. I'm a pretty nice, calm person, but there's a part of me that loves to battle. I'm always dreaming that I'm killing things with swords, and I'm manifesting weapons and blowing people up and doing all this stuff. I have dreams where I'm hunting bad things and I'm just destroying them, and it's not like a dark or it's like a sense of righteous justice or something. But yeah, that's my my first log about all this, and I guess I'll keep myself and whoever else is watching updated as things progress. So next up is Guardian of the Threshold. I can't wait. I'm going to pick a fight.